All right, and we're live, boys.
All right, started.
It's our. So what's up, everybody? This is our first live video, and this is our first Q&A that we're gonna do here on Facebook. Apparently, we're trying to do it on YouTube, but I don't know what's going on with it. So I'm guessing we'll just do it here then, and then yeah. So anyway, so this is Backyard Wrestling Entertainment. Apparently, only a few of us could make it, so we'll start off. I'm Daniel, of course.
I'm Aaron.
What's up, guys? I'm Adrian.
I'm Raul.
All right, and this is us. This is Backyard Wrestling Entertainment, and we created it a few weeks ago, and we created it last week, I'm pretty sure, and yeah, and we were gonna do a match today. We were supposed to do a match today, but apparently, due to the weather, we're gonna have to reschedule it. So, so sorry for everyone else for who are expecting a video today, a wrestling match. So yeah, we're sorry about that, and we're probably we'll keep you guys in touch of what's gonna happen in the next few weeks, or maybe next Saturday we're gonna do the match. Well, that is if everyone's available for it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So this is our first Q&A. So welcome, everybody. We hope you guys enjoy this, and this will definitely go on YouTube once the streaming is over. So
Drop them questions, guys.
Yeah. Comment down below, please.
Yeah, you guys can comment any questions you want, like wrestling, or if you guys want to get to know any of us.
Okay, so I have one first.
Well,
what's the question? What got you interested in wrestling?
What guys are interested in wrestling? You guys want to answer it like, and one always gives a different answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
good.
What got you into wrestling? Either.
Well, it all started like when I was 5 years old. When I first moved into this house, and by the way, we're in my basement. So, and this house I've been living since 2005. Ever since I got my car accident scar, I moved here. And I would say like one night, I was just upstairs playing around with my toys, Batman and Superman toys. You guys remember that Superman toy, from Superman Returns? And I had that Batman action figure. And so, anyways, I was just playing around with my toys, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'm just like playing around in the living room, just jumping around. And all of a sudden, I see my brothers watching something on TV. I'm just like, well, what's this? And then they just told me it was just WWE. And I remember when it was WWE at the time. I remember it was on Friday because it had remember the fist,
Yeah.
the old
SmackDown
fist.
The entrance.
And
stage.
And yeah, so that's how it started for me. And then like ever since I kind of got into it, and of course, who was my first wrestler I laid eyes to, and who was my idol ever since? Everyone's gonna know the obvious answer. It's John Cena, of course.
For me, I was like 4 years old.
4 years old.
My dad and my brother, we would go to the living room every Monday and Friday. My dad would come to me if I was already ready, like to shower and all. He'd be like, "Ya listo? Vamos a ver las luchas, right? Like, let's go watch wrestling." So that we would sit in front of the TV and just watch wrestling, watch Raw and SmackDown until it was over. Obviously, we were not born or didn't know anything during the Attitude Era because we were all.
I was actually on Wikipedia one day, and I saw that I was born like I think a few days before or after WrestleMania 17. That's when I was born. So I would say I was born in the Attitude Era. But even though when I started watching it, it started becoming slowly PG.
It was still around when I was born, but like obviously I was a baby.
None of us.
About it, so.
Yeah, none of us didn't even know about it until we were 5 or 6.
Yeah. And my favorite wrestler, it was, I would have to say, Chris Jericho or Batista.
Oh, Chris.
When I was younger.
Yeah, I remember. I still got my. I remember I got my first action figure was a John Cena action figure, and it came with a WWE logo. And I still have it, but it's just put away because I haven't touched anything in a long time that was So yeah, and I still have it. And then I remember my mom got me for my birthday this battle pack. You know how Jank Pacific used to be? I didn't really like those toys,
Right.
but like, but those were like the only toys that we used to play back in the day. So my mom just got me this one battle pack,
Yeah.
and it came with King Booker, the crown, and it came with Batista.
Can you dig it, sucker?
And it came with Batista. It came with a Batista that used to have hair back then, and it came with the World Heavyweight title. So.
What about you?
Well, for me, I remember I've liked wrestling for a long time, you know. And I remember one day I was at a family party, and I saw that one of my cousins was playing with these wrestling action figures, and I had no idea what they were, honestly. At the time, I was like, Daniel, I like superheroes and, you know, other kinds of, you know, kid stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that the figures that he had were Hardcore Holly and The Undertaker.
Oh.
And I was like, what's the purpose of these guys? What do they do? And he told me, well, they just fight each other, you know. They have to pin each other, put the shoulders down to win. And I was like, okay, interesting. So this is what, like, the toy is. So then that's when I got more curious about what wrestling was, pro wrestling, what WWE was. So, you know, I went online and searched up what WWE, and I saw a bunch of videos on, you know, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, all the greatest fights like Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. And during that time, I remember when I first saw The Undertaker wrestle, right away I knew that was my favorite wrestler. Like the way his height, the way he was built up.
He's tall.
Yeah, he was tall. Yeah, he was tall. He was intimidating. I hit the streak, you know.
Yeah.
And overall, he was a winner. He would never lose. You would rarely see him lose.
Basically.
Mine had to be 1 year old. So
1 year old.
1 year old. That's when you got
Years old.
into wrestling.
yeah,
Since you were like one, that's the first time I've ever heard.
Because I remember-
His memory.
because I remember I was very little, so I had a tough imagination. My grandpa was into it. He bought his very first pay-per-view with Survivor Series. It was WCW versus the WWE, so it was winner take all. And I remember the only two I remember because it was The Rock and Stone Cold. But when I was little, I picture them. You know, I would say like, "Oh, look, it's the two ball ones. I remember them." You know. And pretty much my grandpa was the one who got me into wrestling when I first came over to visit him. And when my parents dropped me off because, you know, they both had to work. So then one day my grandpa started to put on wrestling. His favorite wrestler was Stone Cold. And of course mine was actually The Rock. And I think till then, ever since I started to grow up out of it, I started to forget it. And then I went back. So pretty much, I've only watched like a few matches of the Attitude Era, and then growing up, I came back to watching the PG era. So it came back with, you know, basically the Shield and, you know,
I like the Ruthless Aggression era. I mean, that era was awesome.
Oh yeah, when
Yes.
Cena first debuted.
I didn't watch that because the first time I watched it again, was back in 2013. That was
But why did you stop watching it?
Huh?
Why did you stop watching it?
we didn't have the channels back then when I was little.
Like, yeah, I didn't have, like, I stopped watching it, like, for a while because we didn't have a channel either. There was YouTube and all,
Yeah.
So,
I didn't even know YouTube was invented. I just started to play PlayStation 2.
I would say my top 3 most like motivational wrestlers was first. It's gonna be John Cena because that's the first wrestling toy I ever got, and then it was The Rock, and then Batista because I remember Batista wasn't like literally Batista the face of SmackDown, along with The Undertaker during the time.
Yeah.
Like I would say it was like around 2006 or 2007 because I remember when I first started watching it, it was during the time when Cena was WWE champion for a long time, and I would say like ever since that day I became obsessed with wrestling, and I remember back then I would always used to go to Best Buy right here in North Riverside when I first moved here. And my brothers and I would buy WWE home videos, you know, those DVD collections video.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the first one I ever saw was The Rock, the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. That one, the 3-disc video, and Kane. So, and then what became my sole favorite for me for like in WWE was when The Rock and the Stone Cold rivalry. That became my favorite rivalry of all time right away.
yeah, their rivalry was awesome. I mean, like, how many times did they wrestle?
3 times
3 times, right?
at WrestleMania, but Stone Cold won 2 of them, and The Rock.
I really
won.
like the way The Rock would like flop after he took the stunner. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
gives him the stunner.
And then he like
Rock
always
would,
like does his
fall
like
backward.
he always goes back. That was always hilarious.
Funny sell right there. Very funny sell.
Look for another question.
Yeah, you know.
This is one I got from a friend. How old are we? I'm 18.
I think I might be the only youngest one here.
We're all minor free except for this guy.
Yeah, I'm 18 also. Yeah.
You're 18, Aaron?
Yeah, I've been 18
Since how long?
since September.
You've been 18?
Oh,
Yes.
God.
Oh, snap.
I haven't even turned 17, and I turn 18 on March 31st next month. So,
Yeah, he's the youngest one on the group.
yeah. I would say I'm the youngest one, the youngest person on the BWE roster.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so,
He's the Randy Orton.
you could say that. Or you could say I'm the Tyler Bate, the youngest one.
Exactly.
I got a note.
What was it?
Who do you think should win next year's Royal Rumble?
Next year's?
I wouldn't mind. I think Mustafa Ali.
No,
I was kind of hoping Mustafa Ali won the
I
Royal
doubt it.
Rumble
No
this year.
offense, I doubt it.
Because to be honest, I feel like they moved him up to the main roster on SmackDown because I feel like they saw him as an underdog. And I feel like that's what they're going to do with him at Mania. Like, I feel like, why do I feel like just like Kofi Kingston isn't going to win the WWE title in a few weeks at Fastlane? Because I feel like what they're planning to do it since they're trying, I bet they're going to do a storyline of like, the reason why Mustafa Ali will like it's going to be like Mustafa Ali wasn't in didn't won the Rumble, wasn't been able to compete inside the chamber match, and then all he wants is that one.
Accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I bet they're going to turn into a storyline, and I bet they're gonna. He's gonna say like, all I want is to have like a moment for my kids and everything, and like that. You know, that's type they usually say anything for their family and everything, and I believe in that kind of stuff when they say that stuff.
Yeah, so if he's not being booked for WrestleMania, then I pick him to win the Rumble next year.
Yeah.
I have someone.
I had Mustafa Ali to win this year, but because like I said, I saw him as an underdog. But I feel like they're gonna make him the one to dethrone Daniel Bryan if Kofi does not win at Fastlane. I see him as being the guy because if you remember how a few years ago Daniel Bryan was the underdog in 2014 at WrestleMania 30 when he defeated Triple H in the beginning of the night, the first match of WrestleMania 30, and then later on that night he competed inside in the triple threat match between him, Orton, and Batista, and he fought even though he got Batista bomb slashed RKO through an announcer's table, and he almost got stretchered out, and he still fought and he won the title still. So I kind of see that in Mustafa Ali. He's gonna fight still, even though he's been through a lot of bad stuff. So
Yeah.
All right, Dan. So who's winning next year's Rumble?
next year's Rumble. Okay, yeah. I've been talking so much about this stuff. So
So who do you got for next year's Rumble?
I think depending on who's on the main roster as well, this is where you got to think about like who's gonna be on the main roster net by the Royal Rumble next year. So, and
so you want an NXT person?
well, I'm not saying I want an NXT person. I think I would just rather hold off that.
Just
question.
pick a wrestler for God's sake! God damn it, man! We don't need a storyline.
Oh my God. I bet when we look back into this video, all you're gonna see is just everyone like serious, just waiting for me to answer a question. Okay, fine. I'm just gonna say it.
Just
Say a name, bro.
I'm picking Andrade.
Andrade.
Yeah.
Andrade. Okay.
Who do you got?
For me, you're also not gonna like this.
Oh.
Drew McIntyre.
I can see that.
I can kind of see that.
I could see him winning the Rumble to challenge whoever has the Universal title at Mania 36. It's gonna be
30s.
Yeah, 36.
36. Yeah.
Aaron?
I'm probably gonna be either Braun Strowman or Baron Corbin, either one of those.
Braun Strowman. You think he'll finally get his chance next year?
If they put him as number 30, maybe by any chance, then yeah, then
I mean, he has a Royal Rumble winner.
The greatest Royal
Royal
Rumble.
Rumble.
That's still considered.
I mean,
a
like,
Royal Rumble.
what did he get
All
the
he got
greatest Royal Rumble
all he did
champion.
all they got
a
was a title and
trophy and a
trophy.
title. That's it.
He didn't get no opportunity
Is
or
that?
nothing.
Do you defend that title?
Yeah.
No.
He don't defend
No.
it. He doesn't.
Oh, who
bring it
knows?
out.
What if they do another
He
one?
doesn't show it.
Well,
out.
yeah, they are gonna make another one.
They are?
I mean,
Yeah, they are.
They are going back to
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia.
Oh.
Yeah, for like the next 9 years, right? Or 10.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's like a contract. Yeah.
Oh.
It's
Yeah, I got a question.
it's-
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go. Sorry. man.
It's basically like the Greatest Royal Rumble. It's basically like the Andre the Giant thing. It's just making
Yeah.
history. No pushes to anything. It's just making history. That's it.
It's also just like the